nobody else has ever seen. You can't get it online, you can't get it on home video. It's never been exhibited theatrically before, and it's the restoration of the film. This has been, as some of you know, and if you don't know, you can take a look at my website where it's all explained in excruciating, horrible detail. The film was mangled for legal reasons just before being released. There was a dispute over the Swan Song trademark, and so it was removed from almost everywhere in the film. It took 30 years to find the original camera negatives that had that material in it, but now it's reinserted. I don't know how many times it's going to get exhibited over the course of all of our lives, probably not many, but this is the first. It means that there's some kind of awkward edits in the film that are now no longer that awkward, and there are some awkward mats covering things up in the film, as you've seen it over the years, that are not there anymore. And I feel safe in saying that it's the director's cut because Mr. De Palma asked to see it, and he took a look at it, and he sent me a nice note back approving it. So he's happy with it, and if he's happy with it, I'm happy with it, and I hope you'll be happy with it. So, and thanks for coming. I'm hoping our guests are ready. We've got Ed Pressman, who produced Phantom of the Paradise in the first place. What would have happened without him? We've got Malcolm Ingram and Sean Stanley, who directed the film you just saw. Everyone's favorite flamboyant rock star, Beef, Gerrit is here. And I'm hoping Paul Williams has made it. Wherever you like. Wherever you like. That's exactly where Beef would say. And Swan, Mr. Paul Williams.
Hi everybody, how fantastic. Well, God bless Winnipeg.
It almost makes me wish I lived there. So I want to start with Malcolm and Sean. We need a drink up here for Mr. Graham. I'm sure one will be on the way forthwith. Malcolm, Sean.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for making a movie about the fans that does not make fun of the fans.
Thank you. Yeah, the Peggers, by the way, need to be mentioned. They made it here themselves. It's a good percentage. Peggers, please bring yourself down. There they are.
You know, I think it's very hard to make a movie like this that shows people who are just insanely devoted to something that doesn't end up making them look a little insane. And you guys have done it. It's very respectful and very beautiful and very affectionate. And I know you just screened it in Winnipeg just a few weeks ago. And the pressure must have been immense, the hometown crowd. How did it go? How do you feel about it?
It was like the greatest rock show you'd ever seen.
I mean, it played like a rock show. It was incredible. Because it had its world premiere at Fantasia Fest in July, and we wanted to kind of bring it to Kentucky as fast as possible. So we rented out a theater and showed it to them. And it was one of the most, I've been in the business for 25 years. I've never experienced anything like that ever. It was genuinely it's so hard, like, in the process of documenting something, like, if they didn't like it, you might as well fucking throw it away. You know, people didn't like it, but if Paul didn't like it, if Gerrit didn't like it, if Peggers didn't like it, like, we failed so miserably. And to have that moment where, like, they really responded to it, it was such a privilege that, you know, that we kind of got it right. It was so important to do that, and we were lucky. It seemed to work.
Yeah, like, you know, there was a group of a table of ladies behind me. The entire movie, they were just going, "That's us, that's us."
Can I say something quickly? We're on a stage right now with Gerrit Graham, Paul Williams, and Ed Pressman. Like, this is mind-blowing for us. Legends to the right of us, completely. This is such a thrill and an honor.
For you to like that, that means the world to me. Hey, and Paul, the same thing. Seeing you in Montreal and you giving us, I think you said it was a Valentine, and that, you know, I identify with these people. I get where they're coming from. I love fandom too, so.
I identify with them too, goddammit.
So, and Gerrit, sticking with the Winnipeg and Phantom Palooza, you talked a little bit in the film about the connection and how overwhelmed you were to see the appreciation of the fans. I'm going to come behind you. Yeah, we're all getting there. You talked a little bit in the film about how much you were overwhelmed by the affection of the fans in Winnipeg. But what I haven't heard anybody ask you about is I think that when you went to Winnipeg for Phantom Palooza, you had not seen most of your fellow castmates for at least 30 years.
Very true.
What was that like, all seeing each other again after that?
Well, I had moved away from LA in '96. I moved back to New York. When I was in LA for all the time, the 23 years I was in LA, Peter Elbling and I, aka Harold Almond, we were very good friends, very close friends. And I knew Archie Hahn and Jeff Commodore and so on. But when I moved out of LA, I lost touch with them. And the only cast member I had anything to do with quite a while was Bill Finley. And of course, at the first Manapalooza, it was only Finley and me. And I was only there because he talked me into it. I said this in the movie. Come on, it'll be fun. Oh, you're crazy. But it was worth it. It was so great. It was just so great. As Paul says, it's like being a Beatle. And so when we got back to New York, we called everybody else in the cast. You're crazy for not being here. It was so great. It was so much fun. If they do it again, you have got to come. And so the next year, everybody showed up, with the exception of the late and very much lamented George Memley, who played Philbin in the movie, my partner, you know. But it was wonderful, wonderful to see them all. And we all, as you saw, we all sing all at Manapalooza on stage. We sing the songs we sang in the movie. And the spirit, the same spirit that informed those performances when we were doing them down in shooting a movie down in Dallas, was there again in Winnipeg. And it was as though we'd just seen each other the day before, you know. It was really sensational. I hadn't seen Jessica in ages. I'm watching her sing Old Souls. Oh, God, it was heaven. Heaven. It was thrilling. It was the best kind of reunion. That's all I can say. It was the best kind of reunion.
Woo! And the thing that's really disturbing is that Jessica hasn't changed at all. The rest of us have been slowly and surely, the Reaper is swinging. But, yeah, you know, the thing that is so amazing is the gift that Winnipeg gave us. It's just, you know, my theory is that if the picture had been even a little bit of success, you know, people would have seen it, and I think it was the outrage for people in Winnipeg who had that amazing taste to love what we did. God bless them. You know, and was like, how could the world ignore us, you know? Which basically everybody did except for Paris. A couple guys in Paris really loved it, you know, they were now Daft Punk, so thank God for them as well. But what Winnipeg gave us, you know, was keeping the picture alive. And it just, the word of mouth, and it spread, and it spread, and it spread, and it's phenomenal. And to hear you talk about Mentally was, God, Mentally would have loved this, you know,
he would have loved the Paloozas, he would have loved this movie, he would have loved every aspect.
He would have said, you know, those mooks aren't mooks. Yeah, well, you know, from Mean Streets, you know, but you know, I've never been able to say this, you know, I don't think I've ever said this in public before. What I've always thought about is that there was only one voice that, you know, that was something I recorded before I think before I ever met Gerrit, and I really wanted this spectacular voice for Beef, you know, just killer. You know, Ray Kennedy was just amazing, and then I heard, an amazing voice, and a really. But then I heard the shower scene where he sings, and I went, oh shit.
That's not what happened.
What's not what happened?
You laughed in my face, style.
That's what I heard. I think you started to remember the way you want things to do. You also remember that, you know, he also doesn't remember that he was so sick. He had a fever and everything while he was shooting Life and Life. The last time we were here, in Winnipeg, talking about the picture, and he said, yeah, I don't remember that at all, and you were so sick, and you know, and you got in front of the camera, and he just, well, you saw what he did, he poured it out. It's a brilliant performance, and see, I'm nice, and I believe what I'm saying. You sit there and go,
That's true, I was very sick, so they told me, there's, I guess, some kind of selective artistic amnesia. I have no memory of it at all. But oddly, I think for a performance like that, it helps that you're slightly out of your head. Do you know what I mean?
you're describing me in the 80s.
If I've been thinking too much about what I was doing, God knows, I mean, I might have fallen out of that thing up at the top of the stage here, so. But that's what they tell me, is that I was very ill. I have no memory of it.
As it won't surprise you, I have the medical records from on set. And you were getting vitamin B shots between takes.
Says he has your medical records from on set.
My medical records, you were getting vitamin B shots between takes.
Oh, vitamin B shots.
My medical records are sketchy doctor.
So, Paul, recently there's been a wave of rappers sampling your music from Phantom. There's Rick Ross in Vegas Residency, and Ghostface Killah is sampling the hell of it. Do you have any idea what's up with these guys?
Well, here's the interesting thing. Basically, it's hard to hear anybody, even with really good hearing, because, you know, it's really disgusting. I finally learned to listen, and now I can't hear. What really is a great little trick is just a little monitor there, and then we can hear what everybody else there is hearing, you know. And, but anyway, you were saying.
What I was saying was, recently some rappers have been sampling your music from Phantom. Rick Ross, Ghostface Killah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ghostface Killah?
Yeah. I did not. I swear to God. What is up with the rappers, and have you heard about this, and have they told you why they're doing it?
You know, it's amazing. People come up to me and they say, you know what, we used to love your music, and you know, we wish you were still writing. And I go, you know, I'm still writing. You just stop listening to the radio. Yeah, you know what? There's some amazing creative talents out there, and all that are writing, and
not as good as us.
Not as good as us. Actually, I can't say that. You know, I'm writing right now with a group called Portugal the Man, and I think I'm learning more about, you know, about throwing away the a coloring book and coloring outside the lines than I've ever learned before. They dump the structure, and it's just, they're the ones that say, now we're done with this for kids. I was, of course, kidding. Yeah, at any rate, yeah, I'm always thrilled when somebody is, paying attention to what we did.
Yeah, but Coach is killing it. Dang.
Paul, you do a lot of these Q&As. And to be candid, he asked me to ask this question. What's the question that you wish people would ask you at these Q&As that they never asked you?
Selective memory. I said, what's the question that you wish people would ask you, that no one has asked you before? And what I meant to say was, well, there's one that nobody's ever asked me before. What do I wish nobody had asked me before is, I'd like this to be meaningful. I'm afraid, I'm not having a real Daffy Duck moment. But I feel right now. I can further Daft how my foot flies. This is a great one for Ed. Mr. Pressman, ladies and gentlemen, the man that paid for
And since
here's the question. Can I put some money in your next project?
Yeah!
And by my count, since Phantom, you've produced something like 95 films. From Wall Street to Bad Lieutenant to Conan, House Boot, lots and lots of great films. And through all of this time, you have been working on and off to either get Phantom done as a musical or remade somehow. What convinces you that this project that bombed in 1974, if done now, could be successful? And where are you in this process right now?
I think the experience of seeing the film at Band in New York and some random screenings was a total surprise to me. This is, I think, before I even knew about the Winnipeg phenomenon. I saw contemporary audiences, young audiences, seeing the film and reacting like we saw tonight. And the Winnipeg event and phenomenon was a total shock to me, but so remarkable and encouraging. And the Phantom of Winnipeg, I think actually brought tears to my eyes because it's such a for something that could not have been forgotten. And I think I'd like to thank my son Sam, who worked with Harry and brought the Phantom of Winnipeg into my life and the connection to eventually to this perfect place to premiere. We'll see, after this, for Phantom.
I've been told, and actually I think, Gerrit, you mentioned this in the film, that Phantom was a really fun set.
Yeah.
And a fun film to make.
Yeah.
What made it so much fun for all of you?
Well, when I say us, I guess I mean mostly the juicy fruits, and George Melly and me, you know, we were sort of a gang, and we were all young, dumb, and full of cum. We didn't know anything. It was just a wonderful, freeing experience. A character like Beef, you don't get to play very often in your career. And even I knew that then. But Brian De Palma, this was the third film I've done with him, was not big on script. He was very big on scenario. I don't know if this is still the case. I'm not allowed to talk to him anymore. But he had scenes very clear in his mind, visuals. So this has always been the case with him. And there were certain specific lines that he wanted to make sure were said. I know Jack Real from Real, that's one of them. And there were a couple of others, but otherwise, we were all given great freedom to improvise. I mean, much of the stuff that Beef said, especially the wisecracks, dry up toe, and you know, you don't know how much you want to kill Ida.
Bones is my favorite. Bones.
You say that? Bones. That stuff I made up. Oh, that's it. And George made up the stuff he said to me and stuff. I'm assuming that Peter and Archie and Jeffrey had the same kind of freedom. So it was fun. I mean, the roles were fun, the movie was fun, the situation was fun. We were footloose and fancy free in Dallas. Ed had given us, you know, $10 each a day. And so
Don't spend it all in one place.
and it was a blast. You know, we were in our hotel rooms. You know, it was for a bunch of young actors without much to show for themselves. It was just a ton of fun. We had a blast. I don't know. Are you looking for anything more specific than that?
Whatever you got.
I remember Elby and I in particular used to pick on Brian for what that made him worth. Probably not too much. That's probably why I'm not allowed to talk to him anymore. But I had a particular thing with the crew that I didn't know about at first. There are people here who've seen Phantom, I assume. Anyway?
Woo! Beef!
The scene, Beef's audition scene, where he falls down on does a big kick and falls down on the catwalk and then can't get up again. You know that scene I'm talking about? Anybody? Yeah. The crew, camera crew, they had that in like 2 takes. And they kept saying, cut. Brian would say, cut. Okay. No, it's not Brian, we gotta go in. What? Yeah, there's hair in the gate. Okay. Cut. How about that? No, Brian, lost focus there just at the end. Like 8 takes. And by the end, my stomach was so red that they had to make it up. Finally, Brian said, guys, come on. Hey, what? Okay, well, that last one was good. And then came the time for the shower scene. And the shower set was a cool set. Removable walls and a lot of camera movement, which is a big Brian thing. And the water, when I first got into it, was pleasantly warm. And the next take it was somewhat cooler. And it got cooler and cooler. It got so cold that every time I got into it, I winced, literally, involuntarily. And Brian eventually said, Gerrit, what is the matter? Are you sick or something? And I said, no, it's just the water's a little bit cold. At that point, the whole crew burst out laughing. Turns out they'd been dogging me the whole time. Fortunately, I say fortunately for myself, I laughed too. It was funny as hell. If I hadn't laughed, it would have been a deep doo-doo. But it was funny. You know, the fact that they went to those lengths to play that kind of trick on it was funny. But it was, I don't know, it was just it was fun, the whole thing. occurred in a bubble of fun. I thought, am I making any sense of that?
Woo!
Isn't this the same crew that gave you a trophy from that scene?
Yes. Yes. They were down there shooting over Christmas. And as far as I know, except maybe Paul, I was the only person who got a Christmas present from the crew. And it was this big box. Open. I thought, this is another gag. They're not going to get it in here. You know, peel. And what was in there was the plunger from the shower scene. And it had a bow on it, and it had been varnished. It had a bow on it, and there was a note that said, "To beef, may you plunge your way to stardom." I still have that. That's a real thing.
Woo!
You know, just as a little interesting note about the development of the script, the way the script develops. In the first version of the script, Beef died in that shower scene. And it was. I said that you died in that shower scene in the original script. You know, and yeah, exactly. And
Gee, that's a shame.
I think probably the heart of the picture to me is the fact that the way that it did change after that, where it basically, let's have Beef die on stage, and the kids think it's part of the show. They have been exposed to so much theatrical violence. We're sitting at home, we're watching the war in Vietnam, while we eat our TV dinners, and it's that line between entertainment and news began to slowly but surely dissolve. And yeah, so it was a real improvement, and I think it made it a much more important film.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Assassin, live,
On Coast to Coast, my favorite line in the movie. That's entertainment. Yeah.
It also anticipated this whole idea of reality and show business. What's a bigger act than seeing someone shot as part of the theatrical event, and besides the anticipation of Kiss and all the things that came after, I think the film was very prescient, both culturally and musically.
Well, that's one of the things that makes it a diploma movie, frankly, is that kind of political hit. He never lets everybody off the hook completely.
I want to go back to Malcolm and Sean for a moment. What do you guys have coming up next? Do you have anything coming up next?
We're working on stuff.
After this, we jumped on, we filmed a documentary on the 25-year career of Kevin Smith, filmmaker.
Woo!
That's going to come out early next year.
Woo!
It was, but if I could just say, like, working on this documentary, like, the Phantom of the Paradise movie that came into my life in the late 70s. In Toronto, we used to have this city TV, and they used to run these movies, I guess on Friday nights. And that's how Phantom of the Paradise kind of came into my world. And it scared the fuck out of me. Like, it really, I just remember being really taken aback. The scene in the record pressing plant when his head is crushed. And Paul's performance in that movie was so creepy and just so, it was just so memorable. And Gerrit's performance, like, I'd never seen, like, these were two incredibly rare performances, and for, a 10-year-old kid, like, it was just, it just stuck in it gets in your bones, that kind of stuff. And with Paul, it's interesting because it's just like, he's got, like, Phantom of the Paradise, but he's also, like, he wrote the Rainbow Connection. So that really fucks with that. Swan wrote the most wonderful, sweet thing, but he also haunts your psyche. So fuck me, so thank you for that, Paul. But this is a movie that really stuck with me. It has always stuck with me. It's a lot of Brian De Palma movies have. And it really stuck with me. And it was like this whole movie kind of came through like those Google K-holes you get into. We were kind of like, Phantom of the Paradise, like what happened? And all of a sudden I ran into a gentleman in the audience, Doug, who basically wrote this great article. It was very much part of putting this thing together. And I was like, Winnipeg? Phantom of what? This connection between Winnipeg? How do you explain Winnipeg to an American? It's our Boise, I guess. Like Winnipeg could be our Boise, Idaho, or something. It gets very unfairly maligned, but it's an incredibly resilient city, and it's a wonderful city.
It's hard to thrive there, right?
I would call it, I would say back in the days when Phantom came out, it would be Fargo with great taste in films.
Wow.
These days it's a much different city. I mean, there's amazing restaurants, and obviously still great people there and all, but it's really changed. I mean, the last time I was there, I was like, wow, this is amazing. You have tuna tartare and everything.
But it was interesting because in making the movie, when we decided to make it, it was you know, because me and Sean worked together in several movies before, and when we made it, it was kind of like, well, if we're going to tell this story, who's the one person that you need to tell this story besides the Packers? And it was like, because Paul has had such a really wonderful, like honest, sincere relationship with Winnipeg. Like the fact when he said yes to being in the film, it was like that's what allowed the movie to happen. He was very generous. Like we approached Paul very early on in the process, and he was so generous that he gave us time, like to actually, you know, to be part of it. And as well as Gerrit, like these gentlemen were absolutely selfless in trusting us to kind of tell this story, and that was.
It was the day you asked me to make a movie. I never thought anyone in my life would ask me to make a movie on Phantom of the Paradise, but I jumped right in immediately. It blows my mind that I'm on stage with you guys right now. It's, you know, a movie that meant a lot to me, but I never thought I'd get an opportunity. And then the good folk in Winnipeg, you know, they're a lot. Getting to see it in Winnipeg, I gotta tell you, that happened in August this year, and like the drug real scene, the professional. These are people who are quoting every line and eating it up. It's amazing. It was, once again, like a rock concert.
One of the guys from the original Thanapalooza board, my brain is dead, so I can't remember his name. His email address is dryuptubbo. That's a feather in my cap.
But this documentary gave me one of the most incredible moments of my entire life. We had the world premiere in Montreal at Fantasia Fest. We had winning the audience award. It was a wonderful